At home, don't you dare be sour. Clap for Hammer the Point and feel the power. Yes. Yes, 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 it's Hammer the Point, the best YouTube show about West Ham United. Yeah, that's right. And it features Ray and friends. You got to tune in right now. Everything related to West Ham United is right here on Hammer the Point.
Oh, I love that every time. Good morning, good evening, no matter where you are. Welcome to Hammer the Point, the best show at 1:10 in the morning in the UK, hosted by a guy from Liverpool. It is Hammer the Point. I need to do a bit of admin here because in the background I've got American Hammers and Friends. So let's just change that. Oh, we need to change that.
Big place.
Happy days.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, didn't happen. Didn't even see it. And tonight, my special tag team partner, the top lad himself, Charlie Walsh. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I won't too bad. I'm not too bad. Closed at 10 p.m. in Liverpool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how's that gone for you today? If you had to, has it started today or is it starting another day?
In Liverpool, it started today. In the rest of the country, well, in other parts of the country, rest of the country, it's 10 on a Thursday. Weird.
Right, okay. So how's that going for you today?
I took 260 quid. I probably shouldn't say that out loud.
You've done it now.
You've kind of made a big mistake.
It could have been better. Again, welcome the other spanner from the other show. It's Tom. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Don't like getting introduced as a spanner, but nice to see you.
Why? Get involved. Get involved.
There's 3 spanners there and 1 Wolverhampton. So brings me on to Christopher, Mr. Y2J himself, a Wolves fan from Hereford, because Hereford's got a football team, but they're shit, so he has to support Wolves.
Yeah, that's true.
Christopher, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? It's been a while since I've seen your beautiful.
Even though,
so.
I know I've missed you too. I missed you. Even though our boy Jared Bowen's from Hereford as well.
He is. He's indeed. So I mean, you got to have something from Hereford in your team to make it worthwhile. I've seen the half out already. Nice knowing you, lads.
Oh, well, before we get on to Chris, we're going to talk about tonight's game. And we have none other than the best 2 YouTubers doing live streams, better than the kickoff. No one likes 2 Geordie. He's shit. Compared to Charlie and Tom, who do the best show. How was the game for you guys? Tom, let's start with you. We always go to Charlie. Let's go with Tom. He's the better host, let's be honest.
Nice. Yeah, it was probably, I think we said afterwards, it was one of our best watch-alongs that we did. Just, I mean, we had near on 600 people in there for most of the time. Donations, some of you, I know,
Nice.
foes in the chat here tonight, people supporting and liking and subscribing, and nice comments from myself and Charlie as well. So yeah, no, it was a very successful night, and obviously it always helps when you're on the receiving end of a 5-1 win, not the other way around. So yeah, it was good fun. Charlie, don't tell me it was shit now, because it'll be bad.
It was rubbish. Oh yeah, it was a grand old time.
Yeah.
It was a grand old time. It's weird. It's almost like most of the time I almost remember and appreciate the ones where we lose more, because it just makes it that much easier when you're with like a group of stupid idiots who are willing to do stuff like appreciate food cam that I've set up and stuff like that. But it was just comfortable, especially towards the end where it was just like we were sort of.
We've been fed information from inside the stadium by Russ.
That does help Ross from My Hammers 11, who works at the stadium, being like, oh yes, come on. Mate, I'm dining well this weekend. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, so it helps when you have someone who works inside the ground telling you there's going to be a goal about 5 minutes before it
Can I
actually
stop
happens.
my
But yeah.
camera? I'm just going to have to go cry. I'm okay.
Well, I'd just like to point, phone never dishes out any money to us for. I'm very
But
upset.
he did one. He got weak. Oh, I don't know if Fo was on who did it, but someone did it. Do you remember when we
I
got
did
super
it.
chat someone time?
I
Yeah,
did
Tom
it.
did it. Tom was one of them.
Fucking Tom. Biscuit tin. Got my cup of tea. Just needed biscuits. So, guys, I was too busy making loads of money tonight, so I didn't actually get to see the game. So, talk me through it. Charlie, what happened?
I mean, so it was. We were dominant throughout. Hull, to be fair, had a game plan. They weren't playing anywhere near their first or strongest 11. I think we had a whole fan in the chat who said that they only had 3 or 4 arguably league starters in their starting 11. So they came with a game plan which was basically just shut us out and deal with it as best as we can, which is fair enough. They're a League One side, and we were in total control because of that. Given we had £100 million worth of forward on the pitch, it probably should do that. Yeah, and it was the first half was fine. I felt like we sort of some things had happened, but it didn't quite kick into full gear. It never felt like it never really felt like we were going for it or they were going for it full force. And then second half, I think second half we both turned the screws a little bit. We ended up obviously getting more goals, but there was a significant period of time where Hull were legitimately going for it. Once they brought on a couple of their first teamers, got the goal back.
Yeah, it was after they scored, wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
5 minutes of pressure.
Yeah, they felt, I think, a little bit buoyed by that and started to step to us a bit. But unfortunately for them, that meant they left gaps at the back, and we got another 2 in 2 minutes. So yeah, but it was an expected game, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and we did that very handily tonight, I felt.
Okay. Tom, what did you think of the game?
Exactly the same thoughts, Charlie. First half was very sort of bit boring and mediocre. They didn't really have any shots on goal. I don't think they registered a shot in the first half. We were just playing comfortable. It was, do you know what? I won't maybe speak about the goals we scored, but it was nice to see the likes of Yarmolenko, Anderson, Allaire, Lanzini as well in particular, who looked so comfortable playing with each other. And it was really nice to see Manuel Lanzini almost look back to his best. He had, a real spring in his step tonight. I was so impressed watching him. And Yarmolenko as well is laying his claim that he should be at least somewhere near that first team. Moyes has got to try and figure out how he can fit him, potentially Antonio, Allaire and Bowen in all at once. But no, it's the last 2 times that we've seen, in the Cup, the Charlton game and tonight, even though it's against lesser opposition, it's almost helped boost the confidence of those players that have played. And it's nice to see the likes of Yarmolenko, Anderson, Allaire, Lanzini all sort of clicking on all cylinders. So yeah, it's a shame because obviously we won't see the exact same team against Wolves at the weekend. But yeah, and it was good as well for Harrison Ashby as well, the youngster who debuted as well. I thought all the youngsters looked really good, but Harrison Ashby was very good at right back for large parts of the game until he had a horrible injury to his fingers, which you wouldn't have seen. But he needed to go off with gas and air, and the cart came out for him. He'd basically, I'm pretty sure he dislocated these 2 fingers, and they were all just horrible and bent at weird angles. So yeah,
I'll send you the picture, Ray. Don't worry, you'll love it. I'll send you the picture. It'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I kind of want to see it, but I don't want to see it. If you know what I mean.
Send him a picture and he can see.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
So I can have a reaction. So, but Tom, why are you sending that to me? These are the teams we normally get beaten comfortably in the cup. Even Hull's second team, I
think for the lower league teams, specifically when you're playing away at the likes of Wimbledon and whatnot, and you have if it's in the FA Cup, you have the magic of the cup. I do think for the lower league teams, the fans do play a massive part in games like that. And we just outshone them on every area of the pitch tonight, really. And it was weird because obviously they were playing a second string and they'd kept players that were in the Leeds game that had scored, but they kept them onto the bench. So I don't know. I think the crowd obviously plays a massive part, I think, especially for the lower league teams. And we were able to just use the size of our pitch and dominate them in every area tonight. It was a comfortable 5-1 win.
Yeah.
Ray's just seen it.
That doesn't look pleasant. Oh,
You can see, it's his two fingers here. The top two bits are just sort of
They're just a bit
moved out of place in a weird way. That's just not right.
So they had the gas in there. They had the old cart, American football cart, come out and pick him up.
It was very exciting. It was very exciting. There was a guy driving about. It was grand. It was grand.
wow. What do you boys think? Because of the, as you know, I work in a bar in Liverpool, dodgy little bar, and the coronavirus is hitting all the bars and nightclubs and all that kind of stuff. But it affected 3 of our team that was meant to be there with David Moyes, Cullum. Who was the third one? Masraki.
Deal.
Oh, Deal. That's it. Yeah, Deal. So, wow. Like one of the Tottenham's game against Leyton Orient had to be cancelled because of their team being. Is this going to be something that we're going to be looking at? Games being abandoned in the future, Charlie? What do you reckon?
Probably. I mean, I think it should have been abandoned today. The fact that they received. So, like, I don't know, Chris, if you know what happened, but basically, when the teams were there, the lineup was announced. 2 of the players were in it, were very quickly rescinded. So the lineup got out. It was on Twitter and everything. And then about 5 minutes later, they were like, "Oh, actually, they failed late fitness tests and won't be playing." And so what had happened is once the team had got to the ground and had started to warm up and get ready for the match, 2 of the starting 11 got confirmed to have been tested positive for coronavirus, along with David Moyes, the manager. At that point, I'm shocked.
Went on.
Yeah, I'm shocked it did. I don't understand how.
Hull basically refused to take tests, and they were comfortable that we'd followed all the safety precautions and that it was fine to go ahead. So it was definitely weird. Me and Charlie were both expecting it to be called off, but
yeah. I mean, I'm glad I didn't because I had to pay £10 to bloody watch it. So I'm glad it didn't get called off from my wallet specifically. But it was very weird that it went off, and I would be shocked if in a different situation that didn't happen. It just seems wild to me that you can have a bunch of players who have all been in the room getting ready together or everything else, and 2 of them all of a sudden definite positives and the manager, and they go, "Oh, we'll just leave it. We'll just carry on." Because it's not even just the teams, it's the managers, it's the coaching staff, it's the referees, it's Russ at the stadium, it's everyone. Like it seems just wild to me that it went ahead. But yeah, I think it will inevitably happen at some point.
It'll be interesting to see now because as well when I remember when Allaire scored the second, players were all hugging each other and there was no elbow stuff. It was all full blown hugs and kisses. It was, so it'll be interesting to see if a few more of those test positive throughout the week, which you would expect it to be if they've been around them.
Yeah, it could just pop up at any point in the next 2 weeks, really.
Exactly. So, it seemed a bit strange.
I suspect there's going to be a lot of COVID tests in the morning at the training ground before the game coming up.
Yeah,
we could be seeing a full youth team this weekend.
Get hyped! Come on.
Against Wolves, we're going to be struggling anyway. And if we've got the kids out, Torre's going to fucking just bomb past it. But didn't we pay for Hull to have their tests?
Don't know.
Yeah, but they refused.
Whoa.
They came out with an article tonight, a press release that said we rejected the chance to basically have the tests done and that they were comfortable for it to go ahead. Because they could have literally just stopped and said, "We're not playing it. We'll take the win," But they were quite happy with it. I think they don't care if they get knocked out, really, because they're sort of, I guess, main aim, is the promotion push this season. So I don't think it really mattered either way to them. So they probably would have rather played it and got knocked out than,
Yeah, Grant McCann, their manager, came out in a week and said that their priority is the league regardless. He said, when you go over, you try, obviously, but we need the league is our number one priority. And like I said, they had, 3 or 4 first-team footballers on the pitch. So they clearly, their actions spoke just as loud as their words in their priorities for the cup.
Well, we love a cup run. We would love to get to we wouldn't even like to get to the semi-finals. Everyone loves
I don't want to talk about it. All right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Chris Budd, did you watch any of the games today?
No, I was at work. I work for the cinema. I work for a lovely company, and I genuinely mean that. And so no, I missed all the games.
Which cinema? Go on, you can promote it.
I work for Odeon Hereford, so
And how much money did you take today? Or are we know? Is that not? No? Okay.
Probably a bit more than Ray, yeah. But no, I was unable to see the games. But obviously, there's a group of lads there, and we all kind of let each other know the scores and stuff. So I knew you'd won. I didn't know by how many until about 10 minutes ago. So,
well, just to remind people, in case they don't know, we actually won 5-1 against Hull, and Yarmolenko scored 2 and got 2 assists, which is good. That's got to put him, Charlie. Come on. In the last cup game, played amazing. This cup game, played amazing. He's got to be in the starting. I love Bowen. I think Bowen's amazing, and I would put Bowen in the team. But we've got to put Yarmolenko in there as well, isn't he? Full of confidence. Same with Haller. You know, Haller, another 2 goals for him. He's full of confidence. Or is this our cup team? Which, you know, if we win the cup B team.
What's the point in playing the B team if when they do well, they don't get a chance of being the A team? It makes no sense to me, really. Yarmolenko is so... And they're worth over 100. I mean, that's just wild. It's just Yarmolenko so clearly levels above most people in that side when he plays. Like, he has a bit of everything. His close control is bananas. Like, his close control is legitimately... Like you see why he's played for Dortmund. Like, obviously it didn't work out for him there because he had horrendous injury problems, and it just, like, these things don't happen. But you can see why he went, because he's got such his control is unreal. Like, whenever we go up against these teams, he's just big time, definitely. Like, he's just doing step overs, like flicking it this way, flicking it that. Like, his assist for Snodgrass with his weak foot, his assist for the second one was with his strong foot, but he outside of it. He's like, he just has a bit of everything. I don't understand how he's not getting into that team, because as much as, and like you, love Jarrod Bowen, think he's a baller, but as much as I like him, like, Yarmolenko's considerably above him right now in form. Like, I don't think, but I've not been overly hyped about Bowen's performances so far this season, and yet, but Yarmolenko comes on, does ridiculous things, like, and then he's like, nah, not really on it, and it blows my mind. I can't understand it.
And it's what angers me is the fact that people will see that he gave the ball away in the lead up to Arsenal's goal. At 2-1, and then they'll be like, oh, well, David Moyes doesn't trust him and all this shite, basically. I don't know. I don't know what he has to do to start, because even though he's so sometimes heavily one-footed with his left foot, he still manages to shake a defender, throw him a step over, throw him a shoulder, dip one way. It reminds me of the Chelsea game last year, at the back end of lockdown stuff. And as a Chelsea, the defender, when the Yarmolenko's coming towards you, you think to him, don't show him onto his left, don't show him onto his left. And you can try as hard as you want, but as soon as he gets his foot around that ball, it's good night, because he's just, some of the vicious strikes that he has from outside, the 18-yard box. Even tonight, what Charlie said, he was shifting it quite comfortably onto his right foot as well. And I think he provides with his height as well. He may not be the quickest as he used to be with injuries and stuff, but he provides something else in the attacking third that I think we lack sometimes, especially the other day against Arsenal, when we were sort of creating these chances but weren't finishing them off, and people say, well, he doesn't go to the bench because he doesn't trust them, but this is the quality, if you give them the time on the pitch, that they will hopefully create for you. It's mad to think that he's been at this club for 2 neat bit years and we still haven't actually seen the best of him, because he's either been injured or he's just been out of favour with whatever manager we've had at the time. It's just crazy, because technically he's one of the best players of the club, but it's not even close. Like, he's that gifted.
Yeah, I was excited to see him, especially in that first season, and he got that horrendous injury. But before that, he was looking like a baller. He looked like a snippet of his money beforehand. But injury plagues us all. We have got our boy Bowen, who I just don't think him and Antonio play well together. I really don't. I just feel like Antonio is greedy. He's greedy. Bowen's greedy because Antonio's greedy, and they're not playing up. I just feel like, someone like Haller in the middle of them two might actually do wonders, because, like, Haller will then pass the ball to Antonio. Haller will then pass the ball to Bowen. And then they'll be like, oh, he's passed me the ball. I need to feed him. Let's feed him.
I always thought that Haller and Bowen worked so well together, because when Haller is the main striker up top, he holds the ball up so well sometimes. And Jared Bowen's MO is always to try and get in behind the fullbacks. And I think of all the forwards at the club, Sebastian Haller is A, the best passing forward, but B, he holds the ball up very well. And there was a few times last season we saw glimpses of Bowen when he's got inside either the right back or the fullback, and Haller's managed to sort of let him, send him through with a through ball. And I just don't see that with Antonio, although he plays bully ball. His first initial thing to do, especially if he's up top on his own, is to knock it forward 20 yards and see if he can beat him for pace. It's not to who's around me kind of thing. And that's why I think technically Haller's better, because he tries to get other people involved by holding his back to the defenders. And especially this weekend, if we're not careful, and we all know how good Wolves' back three can be at times, depending on who it is, one striker up top this weekend with those three is going to be difficult. And I would rather see the bigger striker in Haller to hopefully try to help create more than Antonio, because I think he'll just get lost against Wolves' back three. I don't know, but that'll be interesting to see what Chris thinks in a bit, because everybody worries about Antonio being our biggest threat, whichever fan base you ask.
Yeah, Chris, what do you reckon? Is Antonio your biggest threat?
I mean, I think for the way that our style of play is very sit back and let you attack us, and I think we're very content with not having the ball. I think if you see us play, we can happily sit back. You can come and attack us all game, and then we'll break on the attack. So I suppose in that respect, Antonio would be someone that I would be worried about. But if you can't take his chances, then it's not someone I'm that concerned with. If I'm honest with you, if he's not taking his chances against the teams like a Fulham this season, or a Leeds, for example, why would I be worried about him finishing at Wolves? And I'm not being harsh to the guy. I'm just, that's just my opinion.
I mean, he has scored our only league goal this year, so we can't.
So Chris is being actually very nice. See, he's like he was in the Championship a few years ago. Now promoted to the Premiership. He's like, West Ham, who? Don't really care about West Ham. We're pushing for Europe and Champions League, not these relegation fuckers.
No, it's I think the thing is, I have a mutual respect for West Ham as a club, and in the sense that my stepdad's a West Ham fan, and the only things I hear from my stepdad are, we're getting relegated this season. That's all I hear every single. We're going to get relegated. But there's the one player that does stand out for me is Declan Rice. Now he hasn't had a good start to the season, really, has he? I mean, before the season kicked off, I looked at the fixtures 3 games in. We had West Ham. I was thinking, if Declan Rice is in form, that's something to worry about. But he hasn't started strong, has he? But who knows? Come Sunday, he might be very ready to go. But it depends. Well, it does entirely depend on signings as well, because we've got Semedo potentially coming our way, which is an absolutely ridiculous signing. But
the one thing I would say is if Semedo is playing, the last person to give him an absolute torrid time was Alphonso Davies with his strength and pace in the Champions League. So if Antonio potentially wants to get matched up down that side, if Semedo somehow played, I don't know if he has to go down quarantine rules, but that might be an area of concern for them.
Oh, go on, Chris. Sorry.
No. Carry on.
I was going to say, you never know. By fucking that game, Declan Rice might be a Chelsea player by then, so you might be lucky.
I think I do feel for Declan Rice. He hasn't come out ready to go as I expected. A lot of fans expected he would, but I think. Maybe transfer. Maybe he's thinking about Chelsea. Maybe that's where his head's at. Unfortunately, that's how a lot of players work these days. At the start of the season, if they're thinking, "Oh, I'm going somewhere," or I'm ready to go somewhere, they don't always necessarily put that effort into the current club they're at. Maybe that's where Rice's head is at. Who knows? But just because he hasn't started well doesn't mean to say I'm any less concerned about him and what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, I don't I understand people hate me when I say this. I don't think he's been that good since Christmas. Like since Christmas, I was sort of like, he's playing fine, but it's not the Declan Rice we know. Like before that, he was so consistently brilliant every single game, putting in 8s out of 10s. And then since Christmas, I'm like, okay. And then since the start again, I've been sort of like, but I don't want to put it down because I think a lot of it, especially this season, I think a lot of it's potentially just like form of the club as well. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to be a shining light in a shower of shit, as it were. But I just look at it and I'm like, I don't know if it's that or what, but he's just not quite hitting those heights yet. I mean, he's still. Well, I was going to say he's still the best defensive midfielder. He's the only defensive midfielder we got, so he's going to be there. But it's an interesting one. I don't know what's going to happen with him. We'll see, because it could be that. This could be exactly what you say, Chris. It's not even potentially that he wants a move or he's agitating for a move, but it's just the idea of that being in the back of his head is distracting or something. He knows he's being watched by Chelsea every single move he makes or something. I don't know. It could be something like that.
I think the thing with Rice is he reminds me. I think he's a big threat because he reminds me of Conor Cody.
Sure.
And they're both very similar players. You say defensive midfielders, and it's in a team full of thrusts like Neves and Patricio and was Jota, but Jimenez. If Cody's the captain for a reason, and I think every time I see a game where Cody's not in that centre of the pitch, in the midfield or in centre back, something isn't right. And I feel like Rice needs to find his feet a little bit at West Ham.
Yeah. And don't forget. So just coming back to the game a minute ago, boys, and Charlie, I'll ask you first. Anderson got 2 assists tonight. How did he play? Did he play amazingly? We're not really talking about him at the moment.
I think he had a good game, especially early on. I think he was very clearly told to shoot, because one of the big problems with Anderson is he is all too happy to get an assist, whereas we all know he has it in his locker, so to speak, to just absolutely whap it in top bins. We know he can do that, but he doesn't do it anywhere near enough. He's also, like, when he's on the pitch, he seems to be, I don't know whether it's lacking in confidence or what, but he does almost always go for the pass when you just think, just have a pop, come on. And it was very clear today he was told to have a pop, because straight from the off, the second he was getting anywhere near their area, he was busting out shots. And I think we just don't talk about him as much, as because that entire front four, Lanzini, Haller, Anderson, and Yarmolenko, have been so good when they've played together. Have just looked really, really, and it's not just comfortable because of the opposition they're facing, being Hull in this case. It's comfortable around each other. The interplay is good. They're making smart runs that like other people aren't. Like when you watch our team with Antonio in it, for example, he's never really making the most intelligent runs you've ever seen in your life. And that's not criticism, that's just the way he works as a footballer, right? Whereas they are very much like working as a sort of a fluid four. One of them has the ball, the other ones are already making the runs and stuff. And so when you see Anderson, it's like we're just predisposed to not thinking he's the one in that system because Yarmolenko is doing so well and Lanzini's playing really well and Haller's getting goals. But I think his performances are going underrated. I think today he had a really good work rate. I thought he was working well. He was linking up well. He was taking a lot of shots. Like not many of them were working the keeper, but he was at least doing it. And that's a step up from where he was last season, where he looked too scared to even take a shot.
Tom, what do you think of Anderson tonight? Good performance?
Yeah, it was a good performance. I just think he could consistently put in performances like that every week, but we'd still find some fans would find areas to pick holes at him. I think a lot of the season, last season, some of the sort of, I guess, for the price that we got him for a couple of seasons ago, you would have expected more from him. But sometimes I think the criticism towards him has been unjust, because I think he's been done a disservice to be constantly trying to help out his left back. So it's difficult because you've got to try and fit him into the right system where he can sort of profit from that. I thought he did much better tonight. Obviously, standard of opposition is not as good, but myself and Charlie sort of both highlighted within that first 5 minutes, he cut inside twice, didn't he, Charlie, and tried to shoot from distance twice. So I think it's difficult because I think Moyes or Irvine, I think obviously if Moyes isn't there this weekend, which we expect him not to be now, I imagine it will tell Irvine, I was expecting it to be sort of 5 at the back or 3-5-2 or something to match Wolves in that respect. Because obviously, we played well in that formation the other day against Arsenal. However, I think if Diop's now out, I think that throws a spanner in the works, because is he going to trust putting Balbuena, Ogbonna and, say, Alessi in there, who played tonight as well? So the fact that Masuaku was omitted from the team sheet and everything tonight, it sort of said to me that he was probably going to be involved this weekend, and no Cresswell as well. So I imagined. So maybe Cresswell plays at the other centre-half. I don't know how we'll line up, but if that's the case and Masuaku's at left wing-back, I don't think there's a spot for him in the team. And like I said, he's not being trusted, so to speak, by the manager to come on as a sub as well. So I think he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't really at the minute, in regards to the fans. But I thought he played really well tonight. But it just, for me at the minute, if the way it's going in the substitution, I know Jazz will, as he's in the chat, he will say that me and Charlie are WWE tag teaming against him. I saw your comment this week, Jazz.
I saw you call me boring, Jazz. I saw it. I think I didn't, sir. I heard it. I saw it.
So to say that he sort of doesn't trust his substitutes, I mean, what's he supposed to do if he's getting 2 minutes of game time every single week? I don't know. I'm just a fan with an opinion at the end of the day, but something just is not right with Moyes and why he won't give those guys more time on the pitch. It makes no sense to me, because the quality's clearly there. He's one of the most talented players at the club, and I think he's one of those players that needs his ego massaging a little bit. And if he's picking up 2 assists a week, in the cup games and stuff, and go to him and say, bloody well done, mate. Massage on the neck. Let's massage that ego a little bit. Try. I think it's the same with Allaire. So yeah, I want him involved more, but at the minute I just don't see Moyes doing that. Like I said, even if he gets 2 assists during the week, I think he's damned if he does. He's damned if he doesn't.
Yeah. Mr. Curry Hour himself does make a good point that we are on paper got a better cup team than we have got a Premiership team. It's a weird one. You've got all the money. You've got Anderson, Yarmolenko, Haller, Lanzini. That 2 seasons ago, they would be easily walking into our first team, and now they can't even get into our first team, which is crazy. So I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of nervous, and you know what? I've said since the beginning of the season, we are like a big busted girl. We've got a load up front and nothing down below.
You've been spending too long at your bar, Ray.
we need some defense. We need some trunking out. Yeah. Anyway, so
just stop there, Ray. Just stop.
We need to look at our defense massively, and we could be a good team. I won't say a great team because we're nowhere near Wolves, dare I say.
I wouldn't say we're great.
Well, I think you're in a lot better position than we are, Christopher. But before we do get started with the Wolverhampton game coming up, let's just do a bit of advertising right here, right now. We have got the American shop.
I thought that was going. It's 2 for 1 this week at what's your bar called again?
Wow. The world most famous bar.
Coyote.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like, we got 2 for 1 at Coyote Ugly this week. Girls dancing on the bars.
We ain't got none of that. That's crazy. But you never know. If you look in the store, they may have 2 for 1.
Merch. Big merch plays.
Yeah. There we go. Don't forget to go onto our Twitter page, Facebook. Don't forget to like the show, guys. Come on. This is the best show apart from Friday Night Lights, which I do like, John and Nish, Friday Night Lights. Katie and Rebecca doing their show.
Hammer out every other Thursday.
Oh, brilliant show.
How much that what I want?
Hammers and Friends. They're probably a better show than us. How many other shows? I think we're the worst show, actually. I've got 2 spanners here. We're screwed.
How much that
2 spanners, 1 hammer.
How much that live watch for?
We're not allowed to plug the Patreon. But where can I find the Patreon, Charlie? I don't know.
Oh yeah, you can just find it at patreon.com/hammerstrength. You can find 2 Spanners, 1 Hammer, where me and Ray host a show every other week. I don't know. You could if you wanted to. I'm not going to say you could. I'm not going to say you should. I'm just saying it's there if you want it. Anyway,
boys, you
as Wally says, iron it out.
Oh, listen, that's a different story for a different time.
Sorry.
All I'll say is / top lad. You'll find it. You know what I mean?
That was a great graphic that Becky created this week for Wally. I will say I did see it.
It was
fantastic. Great show.
And you can also talk to me about shares and stocks and all that kind of good stuff, because the stock market is crashing as we speak. But Christopher, talk to us about Wolverhampton, your team.
What do you want to know?
It's an embarrassment, aren't they?
Well. I mean, so we played City Monday. Monday? It wasn't yesterday. That was only yesterday,
Monday.
And I missed the game because I was working. But from what I gather, we kept fighting, we kept pushing, we kept attacking.
I
And
thought you were brilliant.
that's Wolves all over there, isn't it?
Daniel Podence is good.
You know, I mean, I was worried initially with Jota going to Liverpool. I was really worried about who's going to fill that gap, and then I realised we've got players like Neto, like Podence, Fabio Silva, who he's coming through.
Anybody that's not Portuguese.
No, well, but you know, no, but yeah, I don't. I think for anyone to say, "Oh, we're going to go to West Ham and batter them," I don't think that's a realistic expectation. Obviously, we are just on the back foot of losing to West Ham and losing to Man City. You know, but and we'll come out roaring as we always do. But it entirely depends. We're away from home. I know it's not the same being away from home with the lack of fans at the moment. It's not quite the same feel as it being home and away. You might as well always be away, you know, if you haven't got the fans there. But no, I think it'll be a difficult test for Wolves. It depends how the first 15-20 minutes is like, if I'm honest. As I said earlier, we like to the way we control the game is by letting you have the ball. You know, and that's our sort of style of play. And yeah, it depends. It depends on who comes out ready to go, if I'm honest.
I think the style of play that you're alluded to there is our kryptonite.
Yeah.
Teams that sit back, we can deal with. We just don't have it in our locker, which concerns me a lot. I can't lie.
Yeah. And just going on to your away fans thing, have you not seen our stadium? They have to get a car to drive them to the pitch. We're that far away. Don't worry. We are.
Well, a guy breaks his fingers. He's so far away from the medical room. Someone has to come and drive to him. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is.
Well, the last time I saw your stadium was Neto scored that screamer. So that was the last time I.
Right, how'd you kick someone from the group?
Kick him now, kick him.
That was the last time. I'll be honest with you, that was one of my favourite goals of last season. Not because it was against West Ham, just because it was an absolute.
It was a banger. It was a banger. It was a banger.
Screamer. I think that's the main thing though this weekend is that. Sorry, Ray, I've stopped you. Go on, Karen.
No, go on.
I was going to say that if anything has changed. I say anything has changed. Nothing has changed since the last time we played Wolves, and we saw what Adama Traore did to Aaron Cresswell in that second half, and we still haven't signed a left back. So I think it's going to be more of the same come the weekend, if I'm being honest.
Adama Traore is just a player that he baffles me when I look at him. I don't quite believe he plays for Wolves. I just look at him and I think you don't. I love my club. I think I'd say we're the best in the world, you know, but he doesn't. He should be somewhere else, shouldn't he? Like, but he loves the club. He loves being there. But like, he's just so good. He's really worked on, especially last season, like the season before and our first season in the Premier League. His shooting was terrible. His passing was terrible. All he had was pace. And then last season, he spent a lot of time really focusing on his shooting, his accuracy, getting his passes on target, working on his strength. So he wasn't just pace; it was, you know, how he was going to use that pace. So I think this season, Traore is going to be a player that a lot of clubs are going to have their eyes on. And yeah, I mean, obviously, for your sake, you're hoping he won't run rings around you, but obviously for mine, I'm hoping he does.
I think the big thing as well is that Wolves signing Kejan Hoover this week, and also if they're getting Semedo as well, means that Traore doesn't have to play that right wing back spot, which means that he's got license to go forward and stay forward, which is going to be, if Hoover plays and he isn't playing at right wing back, again, just spells trouble for us for large parts of the game, basically.
Yeah. Well, it depends when he comes on though as well, because Nuno likes to, quite often he would have Jota or Traore sat on the bench, and then they would come on sort of 60 minutes in. And then that's when a lot of the players were already gassed anyway. And then on comes Traore to do 30, 100 meter sprints, and
it's just because it's exactly what we saw last season. It's like, it's perfect tactically in a way, because they've got players that are good enough to start, and then you have that to bring on. That's why I always think Antonio for us is a better impact sub, because when people were knackered and you imagine him coming on and running at you with half an hour to go, it's you wouldn't want to see it as an attacker. It was the same when Andy Carroll used to come on. You're thinking, I've just spent 65 minutes going up against another striker, and then maybe someone like Chicharito who's constantly trying to work his way in behind and little maneuvers, and you're trying to keep up with him and then you get the big boy coming on throwing elbows and really making it tough for you. It's basic managing, really, having someone like that. It's scary, really. So he does. I think that's why Nuno separates himself, and he's such a good manager, because he's halfway there, all the way back what the expression is. Tactically, everything else, I think he's fantastic.
I think for Wolves particularly, a lot of fans are talking about what signings of the season were going to be, and who we signed and who we sold and whatnot. But as a Wolves fan, I think the best signing of the season is Nuno signing for another 3 years. We could have brought in X, Y, and Z. It wouldn't matter. The fact that Nuno is committed to staying there for longer is the best news I've had, as a Wolves fan for a couple of years now. It's his squad, it's his vision. I couldn't imagine someone else coming in and taking that over.
Is there any rumours about like a succession plan in place? Because obviously you've had him since you're in the Championship, and it's like that team is like built around him and the way he plays football. And so I just wondered, is there like a succession plan in place for what happens? Like, or has there been anything come out that you've heard where they're like, it will be a similar style manager or certain people or certain names?
And nothing that I've seen or heard about it being something different. The board, Fusan, I think that's how you say it. They're very, they back Nuno. That they're very, they're hands on, but not in a controlling way. And they let Nuno do what he needs. They let Nuno just crack on and do what he needs to do. And I think that's why the fans love him. The fans can recognise, he's passionate about the club. He's got the respect of the players, and as I say, the players clearly love him as well. At the end of every Wolves game at home before the pandemic, if we won, he'd go to the South Bank and they'd all sing songs about Nuno. And
Nuno had a dream.
Football team. Like he's just. I think he's the sort of manager, charisma wise and style of play, and I think he's the sort of manager that every club would probably dream of having, and I do genuinely believe that.
See, I think he's very similar to what Bilic was with his players and his tactical nous and stuff like that. I just think Bilic towards the end was too over friendly with the players, and I think they let him down in that respect. But for me, when I see Nuno on the sidelines, and I've seen him a couple of times when he looks proper pissed. Like, I never really saw that with Bilic. So he almost knows when to treat them with respect and be their best mates, but also kick them up the arse when something's wrong. And that's why I was kind of disappointed when Bilic went, because I thought, here's a guy that a lot of the players have respect for, but unfortunately, he never cracked down on them when something was wrong. And, with the Payet situation, he let that kind of get out of control. But I think with a manager like Nuno, I don't know, he strikes fear into me sometimes. It's like the camera cuts to him a couple of times and say somebody's done something wrong, and he has this glare into the camera, and I just think, like, shit a brick, like, whoa.
He's got absolutely no fear. I remember in the Championship, he was sent to the stands, and we were away from home, and we scored a late winner, and he was jumping about screaming in front of the home supporters we were away. and they're all telling him to fuck off and sit down. He was just in there, like, you don't care. That's Nuno. You don't care. So
if there was like a Royal Rumble of Premier League managers, I'm back in Nuno. I'll tell you that much. There are very few people I'd look at more than Nuno, and I'd be like, he's probably got this one. He's probably got this one.
Quickly, Charlie, how long can we keep talking so that Ray doesn't jump in?
Well, I reckon we could just keep going. Chris, I'm going to ask you. So burgers,
Yeah,
Chris,
go for
right?
it.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite curry? What's your favorite curry, Chris?
My favorite curry. A biryani.
Biryani, nice. What are you having with it? What are you having with it?
Oh, we're gonna have to go just a plain garlic naan. That'll work. Yeah. Yeah.
See, a garlic naan. That's a common choice, but it's not one I personally would go with. See, Ray, I look at you and I'm thinking you would probably go with a garlic naan, would you? So, Chris, when you're talking burgers, right? What condiments?
And there we go. I can stick him on mute. It's not a problem. I just want to let him carry on a little bit about, take him off. Chris, don't worry about these two. They do get away.
All right.
Two people can play at that game. So when you're talking about
So it's my show now. Welcome to the Wolves show.
Stop ruining the show. You ruin your own show. Damn you.
Sorry.
So, Christopher, what do you reckon the score is going to be against Wolves and West Ham?
Jimenez is scoring. So when doesn't he score? And I've got him on my fantasy team as well, so he wants to score. I'm gonna
not good enough by our West Ham board, by the way. He was deemed not good enough for us.
Really?
Yeah, years ago we were linked with him, and he was deemed not to be good enough, or they scouted him or something, and he was. I don't know the full story behind it.
Well, the full story I will tell you right now is the board didn't get backhander. You see, so they were like, "Oh, well." He's not agents with animal. Allegedly.
He's not a Salt House player, therefore we can't sign him.
Allegedly, and let's be honest, none of the West Ham board watch this. Allegedly. But yeah, what do you reckon the score is?
Because not a lot has changed really within the sides. I'm going to go with 2-0 Wolves. Same as when we played you played you last time. Just I think it'll be a similar sort of game. Teams tactically line up the same. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really got much more to say about it. I think Jimenez will score. Obviously, I don't even know how he will score, but I just know he's going to score. It's Raul Jimenez. You know.
So you're saying the Wolves are going to play exactly the same way as last time, and David Moyes, with his game plan, he's not going to have.
No, exactly. I think that's how confident I am.
Well, to be fair, I kind of agree with you because our game plan from the start is normally good, but when we have to do a substitution, he waits until the 90th minute to make one. Charlie, what do you reckon? Do you reckon Chris has got a point? Are we going to get whooped 2-0?
Chris is going to get 3 points. Is what he's going to get, bruv. I'll say a different scoreline just to be different, but I low-key agree with you, Chris. I think maybe I'll say 3-1, and that's because I think. Well, I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know. I wonder if Alan Vervine being in charge makes a difference. We definitely made some subs a little bit earlier this time than we did last. But he's obviously learned his trade under Big Dave, the fruit deliverer himself. So I wonder if that makes any difference substitution-wise or lineup-wise. I don't think it will because I think David Moyes will probably still pick the lineup and everything else. Get a Big Sam, Little Sam type thing. Or be up in an isolated cube in the air like.
You'll have his earpiece in.
Yeah. David Moyes, we can suspend him above the stadium like David Blaine in a little isolation box with an earpiece in and telling him what to do.
Alan Irvine will go to make a sub and in his ear he'll just say, "Don't you fucking dare."
Hold positions. Hold.
After the 80th minute only, Alan, we've spoken about this.
So I'll say 3-1 to be different, but I do low-key think you're bang on because I can't lie.
Tom, what do you reckon?
These are getting boring because it's the same thing. It's going to be the same thing for the next 4 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just because of who we're playing. I think tactically they'll match up with Wolves. I think it'll be Cresswell, Balbuena, Ogbonna, Masuaku, and Fredericks back five. Rice, Souček, Fornals in midfield. I think just because Noble, whether he's fit or not, I don't know. And I guess that probably leaves Bowen and Antonio. I don't think he'll change from the Arsenal game, and obviously the changes that he has to make because of the COVID. So that literally just means removing Diop and putting in Balbuena for me. It's just the stubborn manager that we have. I know Jazz he's raging inside as I say it, but I don't see him changing. And I think
Don't go change him.
I think we'll get whooped. And again, it may be one of those situations where we go in at half time and it's 1-1 or it's 0-0, and second half comes around, maybe you don't start Traore and he comes out second half and he puts him on the 60th minute to go at us. Counter him. Make him think. Make him try to tactically change his plans by bringing something on and throw something different at him. Do not wait until the 80th minute when we're 2 or 3-1 down and the game is gone and then make 2 obsolete substitutions in the fucking 89th minute. It's just it just doesn't work. And I know, like, genuinely, I understand that he may not have the trust there with those players when he brings them on. Fair enough. That's your opinion. But then, and I know he will say, oh, he's a Premier League manager and you're just an idiot sat behind the screen talking about a club that you love. But surely he can't see their performances in midweek and think, oh, I can't trust you anymore. 2 goals and 2 assists before the cup game when he played. It baffles me, some of the decisions he made. And I was quite happy the other day against Arsenal when I did my little video afterwards in my review. I complimented him. I said, I thought what the Arsenal fans were saying was that Arsenal struggle to break teams down that sit back and defend. And what did we do? He went with that 5 at the back and they struggled to break us down. I thought tactically it was brilliant, but he just doesn't close games out well. He just doesn't, when it comes to that last half an hour of the game where you think just roll the dice, make something happen, he doesn't do it. And by which point the game can either be lost or won in that moment. And the thing is, I was happy with taking a point, but I also was, I guess in hindsight, I was being greedy because I said I'd rather him try to roll the dice, put a sub on, and at least try to win the game, and I would have been happy rather than, like, if we ended up losing from that position, fair enough. But I'd rather that than you sit on your laurels, you don't make the subs, and then you bring 2 on with 2 minutes to spare, and we end up losing that way. It just doesn't sit well with me. And people were saying to me the other day, like, sorry, last thing, I'll shut up, was saying, oh, well, again, there's this trust issue with the subs and stuff. Eddie Nketiah was a sub for Arsenal and come on and got the winner. So don't sit there and act like substitutes can't have impacts. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, and
there you go.
If you put Antonio on the subs bench and bring him on, like we said he should have done in the last game against Wolves, it might have been a different outcome. But for me, I can't see us winning. I really can't. But I'm going to go positive. I'm going to say we are going to win.
Oh, 3-1 from me, by the way.
Oh, 3-1, yeah. Because 3-1. I'm going to say we're going to win 2-1 West Ham. Come on. We're going to have some positivity.
Can I try and be positive? Sorry, you first, Chris.
I was going to say, if I'm on it, like I'll play devil's advocate against my own team. Based on losing in against City, losing against Stoke as well, where the players didn't look like they wanted to be there. I potentially it's a trophy. Trophy's a trophy.
Don't give me false hope.
Based on you're going to be in the Spurs, then, yeah? Not win a trophy for ages.
Hey, shushamush. We lost 2 on the bounce, and realistically, on paper, you're thinking, oh yeah, we should beat West Ham. But if we go in with that attitude, it's going to be a different game, because if you were expecting to win, that doesn't mean you are going to win. You need to treat the game, as if you are, So it depends. It depends on that opening 15, if I'm honest with you, and and I think for Wolves as well, it's who starts in that centre mid, because we've also got Neves, Moutinho, and Dendoncker. And Moutinho and Neves together in the centre of the pitch are both very similar players, I think. So I guess what I'm saying is that I've lost my point. Ignore me.
Well, and it's off the back of that, right? It was beautiful. Yeah. It was beautiful. Yeah. I do nothing if not disappoint everyone. So I love the deflation there. For Jazz's sake, more than anyone else's. To be clear, we're losing 3-1, but we obviously we did something a little bit different against Arsenal. Moyes did change it up, and it did work for the large part. There is something there which can be built upon. Now, obviously, their Wolves are going to sit back more than Arsenal do. Arsenal are a very proactive, not reactive. I don't know how to put it, but Arsenal are going to step to you a lot more than Wolves will, and so that potentially gives us the advantage there. But there is definitely something there, and the players do work within that system by and large. Like, there's a couple of players in each position where you're like, oh, maybe not, but like, considering what we were doing before with the 4-2-3-1 with Fornals out wide and this and that and the other, it felt a lot more like the players knew naturally what they were doing. And I think actually that is something that can happen. If you look at the midfield pairing that Chris was alluding to there, I think Rice and Souček aren't as good as Neves and Moutinho, for example, but they're not that far off. So that's if whoever's off their day is getting beat in that sense. We've got like Fredericks and Masuaku all of a sudden have turned into footballers, which is a shock to everyone. Like, there are some positive signs there for something that we could go on and potentially not lose 3-1. I mean, we're going to, but I'm just for Jazz's sake, I'm trying to be a bit positive there.
I remember.
And I'll say as well, having. Sorry, Ray. I'll say I think Diop hasn't been at his best for quite some time, and I think having Balbuena thrown back into starting line will be interesting to see how well he performs now. Because I think for me, the games that Diop's had recently, I would have been looking to start Balbuena a lot more, I think, just because I think Diop against Arsenal is very good, don't get me wrong, but it, again, has come in fits and spats, and I don't think that he's been at his best. And I thought Balbuena looked really good tonight, Marshall in the back four. So, yeah, I'm excited to see him play, just to change it up a bit.
Chris,
so I have. Dendoncker, so... You know, it's one of those really weird, jaded fan things. Do you ever think of a player and you remember one thing they did specifically and that winds you up no matter what they did? Dendoncker for me will be the penalty he gave away in the semi-final of the FA Cup. That's something that I still hold true. But when I look past that, Dendoncker can play anywhere in the centre of the pitch: centre defence, centre defence midfielder, centre midfielder, attacking midfielder. How we could put him at top centre forward if you need to. Dendoncker is an absolutely solid player all round on the pitch. You know, excluding that FA Cup semi-final moment, which haunts me, he's fantastic. You know, he's really, and having him play underneath and also alongside Neves and Moutinho is only going to help him. Having him have Willy Bolly and Connor Cody, because he's only, I think he's 24, 25. He's very, very young, as far as I'm aware. And so he's only going to get better, and so, yeah, you probably did miss out there, if I'm honest.
I think we have a variable of him in Souček, but I am miffed that we missed out on him. That World Cup, he was brilliant.
Yeah, just a phenomenal player. But I could say, you know, I'm not going to go into it, but I could say that about any of our players, really. You know, and as you know, and as you all know, you know, I was there. We were in League One 7 years ago, and that was horrific. And as you know, that feeling to be at the top end where we are now, and it can quite easily go. So I'm enjoying the moment as a Wolves fan. But what I remember I was going to say about Neves and Moutinho, about the potential, about the game on Sunday. Neves and Moutinho like to control the game from where they're at, and if West Ham are able to get the ball away from them and shut them out of the game, it would be a very different game. That's if Neves and Moutinho both start, or one of them starts. I think that would be the key. If I was a West Ham fan, and that's what I would be saying, is that shutting Neves and Moutinho out of the game would be, you know, your key thing, because they're the players that are going to play that ball to Traoré. You know, they're looking for Traoré to make that run. You know, yeah, that's what I think.
I'm laughing because I can see Tom being up to something here. Let's put him on a timeout because I can see him. I didn't read it, but put him on a timeout. But that's the end of the show, folks. I want to say a very special thank you to my boy.
Quickly, look at Foe's question.
What's Foe's question?
Charlie asked about Jorge Mendes' influence.
Well, we've got to go because I promised Chris he's got work early in the morning, so we've got to go.
Fair.
But before we do, I have got a question for Chris. Chris, your favourite old-time tag team wrestling
Old time, like
Got time for that, but not for Foe's question. I've livid.
How old are you thinking? 80s, 90s, or Attitude Era, or
Whatever you want.
You put me on the spot.
And where's your belt tonight? Are you the champion this month?
May is just to the left of me. She's in her suitcase there. But like, if I have to pick a tag team, based on like charisma and how much they made me laugh and how much I love them, it'd be DX. But in terms of actual tag team wrestling, it'd be the Dudley Boys because they're just great. Like,
good choices.
You know,
respect that.
Yeah, good choices. But again, thank you very much to Chris. Thank you very much to my boys, Charlie, Tom, for being here. This has been Hammer the Point. Good night. See you later.